Today, on the latest edition of Hamilton Local News, we will be talking about the housing market.
Homelessness has always been a problem in the U.S., but Seattle has one of the largest homeless counts of any U.S. city. It all started when huge companies like Microsoft and Amazon began to grow and suck in more employees from outside the city. These employees were generally well paid by their companies and needed a home, so naturally prices in the industry went up. This was not a problem for the newcoming workers, but for other new residents who were less fortunate financially, they were out of their price range. Then, as time went on, these companies got bigger and bigger and provided jobs for more and more people. This may seem like a good thing, but remember the less wealthy residents who are now watching as their hopes of buying a home disappear. These people are then, with nowhere else to go, forced out onto the streets. Recent studies even show that there could even be 9,000 homeless people in the city of Seattle. This is still happening today, but thanks to the effects of many homeless shelters and camps can be set up for the homeless.
In our second story, we will be talking about local violence in Seattle and how it affects the community.
The Seattle Police Department has recently gone under some developmental changes. In the past few years, there have been a large amount of police brutality cases, frequently involving black men. The SPD has been under a skeptical public eye, as there have been more than a few cases where black males have died under suspicious circumstances regarding officer involvement. For example, a man by the name of Che Taylor was told to get on the ground by two plainclothes policemen. He refused. One officer claimed he was seen reaching for a gun in the car he was standing next to, which was what prompted the gunfire from the policeman, killing the 46-year-old. However, a civilian witness says that Taylor obeyed the officer shouting of him to get down and hands in the air, which was why he ducked, simply not knowing whose request to follow. Taylor was the sixth person to be killed in Washington state this year by police. The officers involved in the shooting cannot be criminally charged unless it's fully proven that they used malice. The shooting was one of many that sparked outrage for supporters of Black Lives Matter, an international group that campaigns against violence towards black people. Taylor's mother was among the many that marched in the Black Lives Matter parade in downtown Seattle in February. The SPD has also been recommended to hire another 100 officers in 2016, and so far, 30% of the 50 most recently hired have been people of color. Although not a large amount, that percentage is thought to increase over the next couple of years as more join the police force.
On today's roll call is Jack at 4035 Burke Avenue North and Owen, 7221 2nd Avenue Northwest. Thanks, guys.
Finally, we're going to go over some recent developments in local transportation surrounding the controversy in Pronto, the new bike-sharing system.
The Pronto bike-sharing system. If you didn't know, Pronto is a 2-year-old program where you pay to rent a bike and helmet for a certain amount of time, with 54 stations located all over Seattle. They currently have 500 bikes and even offer annual memberships for regular Pronto users. However, they ran out of money in 2015, and SDOT, or Seattle Department of Transportation, wanted to buy and improve the program. The Seattle City Council had a vote to decide whether or not to misheard, and the vote turned out to be 4-2 in favor of buying Pronto. The rest of the council voted 7-2 in favor on March 15th. The city will then spend $1.4 million in buying the system itself, and then an additional $4 to $5 million to improve it. Improvements would include additions such as electric bikes and more stations. The controversy. The reason Pronto ran out of money in the first place was because it didn't have the ideal number of rides and customers that they'd projected in the beginning. Instead of the 446,000 rides and 4,000 members predicted in their first year, Pronto received only 142,846 rides and 3,000 members. Also, the Seattle Department of Transportation had reportedly been using their allotted street funds to help out Pronto before the vote was even passed. To make things worse, Scott Kubley, the new director of SDOT, has worked on various successful bike programs in places like Chicago and Washington, D.C., and is being investigated for possible fraud involving financial ties with Pronto. This investigation started because of a formal complaint filed against him. Finally, many believe that the money put towards Pronto could find better use elsewhere, like building tiny houses and food banks to help out and support Seattle's homeless population.